Here are my first impressions of the Google Pixel 7a as somebody that's used an iPhone their entire life. See, this is my first Android phone ever, and honestly, I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do. Here's why. First and foremost is the actual build of the phone itself. See, iPhone users tend to think that Android phones are just these cheap pieces of garbage, and while that might be true for some phones—
oh, come on, man.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the
it's definitely not for the Pixel 7a. Despite the entire back being made out of plastic, it's still extremely comfortable in the hand and still feels really solid. It also has these nice metal rails that make it just look that much better, and honestly, the design is one of the things that I actually really like about this phone. It's actually not ugly. Plus, along the front, it has a super high quality display that definitely does not disappoint. Speaking of the display, it's actually one of the things that I love more about this phone than I do about my own iPhone 11. One of the first things that I did when I got the Pixel was enable the 90 Hz refresh rate, and man, it makes the phone feel so smooth. Everything on this screen feels fast and responsive, and honestly, when I go back to my iPhone 11, it feels so much slower because of the refresh rate. But not only is this screen extremely responsive, but it's also super bright and clear. It's actually one of the best looking screens that I've used on a phone, period. Not to mention, you have a lot more screen real estate because of the hole punch camera setup that we've seen on Pixels for a little while now. And of course, there's that in-screen Touch ID that is just super quick. There have been so many instances where my Face ID won't work because I'm wearing a mask or sunglasses or whatever it might be. Whereas something like this, where you have two methods of opening phones, is just so much more reliable and so quick too. The next thing that I'm loving about the Pixel 7a is actually the widgets. See, I know that sounds kind of weird, but as you guys know, I'm kind of a little bit obsessed with productivity. It's like my red flags are that I'll reorganize your calendar, shit like that. And having usable widgets, something that I can actually interact with and use, is gonna make going back to an iPhone so much harder for me. I can check things off my to-do list, scroll through my calendar, yet still have my basic stuff like skipping through music on Spotify, or keeping track of my screen time. It's kind of counterintuitive, but the fact that I can use my phone less because the widgets are more useful, lets me get things done more quickly, actually makes me love the phone way more. But of course, I could not talk about a Google Pixel without mentioning the cameras, and man, they don't disappoint. They are super clear, have great colors, and are honestly probably the best looking smartphone pictures that I've ever taken, period. And you know, as somebody with an iPhone, I always heard that people were like, oh, the Google Pixel cameras are so much better, but like, I mean, I always thought it's a smartphone, right? How much different can the photos actually be? Like, is it that much of a difference? And yeah, it's that much of a difference. Like, whatever Google's doing, they've got that shit locked in. Like, an issue that I've had with previous iPhones is that I felt like the lenses just aren't diverse enough. Like, the wide angle lens could be a little bit wider and the telephoto lens could be a little bit tighter, but that's not the case on the Pixel. On the Pixel, the wide angle lens feels super usable, even on the selfie camera. I'll save talking about the video for the full review, so definitely subscribe so you don't miss that, but the pictures from this phone were genuinely surprising to me. Now, this final first impression thing is something that I'm a little bit 50-50 on, and honestly, where the good things kinda come to an end. Kinda, not really though. I'll explain. See, I'll be honest, the learning curve with this phone for me, as somebody that's a tech enthusiast and loves technology, was way higher than I thought it was gonna be. We're talking like multiple times I had to Google the most basic features that you could find on any old iPhone. Like, literally, I figured out how to quickly open the camera app by accident. And obviously, yes, as somebody that's never used Android, this was something that I went in expecting. I already knew that there was gonna be some stuff that I was a little bit confused on, but not really to this extent. And yes, I know that Google has the Pixel Tips app, but let's be honest, that's only useful if you're coming from like a Nokia. Along with covering the basic features that everybody knows, I would have liked to see a walkthrough of just some of the more advanced features because, you know, there's so much customization with Android, right? There's a lot more that you can actually do. I would have liked to see something that shows me, you know, what you're actually able to do with all that software. Because at the end of the day, if Google wants to compete with Apple, making that transition onto their phone not so jarring would definitely go a long way. Because that's the thing, I think that this Pixel 7a, which is one of, if not the cheapest Pixel phone that Google is selling right now, absolutely destroys the cheapest iPhone that Apple is selling. What? What the? Like, pretty much on almost every front, this Pixel 7a is better than the updated iPhone SE. I think the only thing that the iPhone SE realistically has over something like the Pixel 7a is power, but like, it's a smartphone. How much power do you need in a smartphone? Like, leave that to your laptop, man. Things like the amazing screen, the great battery life, the endless customization, and the fact that it's pretty much the same price makes it a great deal compared to the iPhone SE. But that's a topic for a future video. Click here to watch the unboxing.